Return of the Mount Hua Sect, Chapter 184. What in the world is this? Did you say Yunnan? Jo Pyung's voice seemed slightly angered. Jogul shut his eyes slightly as he heard that voice. His father, with his unfamiliar gray hair, was looking at him after a long time. Yes, you are asking this after you know what Yunnan is like. Yes, despite knowing that. Jogul's face trembled. Is this what you say after you come back after 5 years? That you want to go to Yunnan? So this doesn't mean that you're coming home then? No, you brat. Jo Pyung looked at Jogul with anger. The time you had promised to come back home has already passed. You come back home so late, and then you tell me that you aren't here for the sake of the promise. And you are talking about all these things. His voice was clearly filled with anger. However, he wasn't a child who did not know about the worries and regrets of his father. This is why I didn't want to come. Jogul sighed as he turned his head. It was a situation he would have had to face one day. Father. Right, say it. Going to Yunnan is something I must do. What you must do is come back home and succeed the family business. Isn't brother here for that? Have you forgotten about our family tradition? It is the law of this family to have our entire business run by the whole family. Jogul sighed. I promised the sect leader that this trip to Yunnan would be a success. Then the promise you made to me wasn't a promise? Don't say anything else. Their thoughts were already in different directions. I even allowed you to enter that fallen Mount Hua because you wanted to test yourself at a place that wasn't under the influence of our family. Wasn't it because you believed that you could grow through the suffering in that declining place? And you are saying that you want to give all this up and stay in that Mount Hua. Mount Hua is no longer a fallen sect. Soon, the name of Mount Hua will resound throughout the world. Jo Pyung looked at Jogul. If you say that, it could be true. He didn't deny or ignore the words of his son. But that is something Mount Hua will handle. The place where you need to be is none other than this place, our family merchant chamber. Gul. Jo Pyung took a deep breath. I am your father. How can you not understand the feeling of your father who sent his son to a faraway place? Father. Jogul bit his lip. The whole conversation made him feel like he was being pulled into their advances, and he was even aware of his mistakes. I need to find a way to get to Yunnan. Till the end! I hope we can talk after that. His father looked at him, and Jogul spoke without taking his eyes off him. This is something I must do as a man and a disciple of Mount Hua. I cannot do anything else without getting this task done. Please allow me to do this my way one more time. Jo Pyung let out a hoarse sigh. Are you aware of how dangerous Yunnan is? Yes, I am prepared. I understand what you mean. However, I do not know of the way to go to Yunnan. Jogul looked at his father and said, I have confirmed that there is a path in the Yunnan mountain which runs from Chengdu. And with our family's name, we can make it possible. But without some form of believable excuse, passing through the place wouldn't be possible. Besides, no matter how much the Nanman Beast Palace blocks it, there would be at least a few people there, or maybe even trade happening, right? Jo Pyung bit his lip. From what he knew, Jogul had only arrived today, and in that very short time, he was able to tour the city. However, the fact that he had already planned out how to get there meant that he was already figuring things out in his own way. This is a good sign. To be immersed in the path of the sword like a child. That was the only thing that he couldn't understand. What do you want to say? There is a company traveling to Yunnan. Jo Pyung's eyes lit up. Whether it's for smuggling or a formal trade with the palace, regardless of whether it was a small group or a large one, there is something going on. A viable trade route. Let us accompany them. We are even fine being porters. No. It wasn't Jo Pyung who said it, but rather Jogul's mother, Hwa Yeonbi, who was silently listening to the conversation until then, spoke up. Mother! Yunnan is a dangerous place, and the fact that you want to enter Yunnan by lying about your identity means that your task is even more dangerous, right? Jogul bowed his head without answering. It was impossible to lie to his parents, whom he had met after 5 years. What kind of parent would send their child knowing that? No, never. Mother, Jogul called her firmly. Wasn't it you who told me that leading a merchant chamber is a risky job? How can someone who cannot even go to Yunnan be a good merchant? So please send me. You don't even want to be a merchant. At that time, Jo Pyong spoke in a displeased tone. Do you really have to go? Yes. And what if I don't allow you? Then, Jogul spoke with determined eyes. I will enter Yunnan on foot, wearing this plum blossom robe. You! In the end, Jo Pyong couldn't calm his anger and jumped up from his seat and locked eyes with his son. Jogul stared back into the eyes of his father calmly. After the brief staring battle, his father sat back down. He is growing up. As a merchant who had done numerous trades, he knew a lot of things. In this situation, he knew that neither beating nor objecting to his decision would change the path of the man who had set his mind on it. Jo Pyong bit his lip, wondering if he would lose his child if he tried to catch him by the ankle. Then, let's do this. What? You're not going to Yunnan right now, are you? Aren't you going to do it with Mount Hua? Right. So you will do it with the disciples of Mount Hua? Yes, Jogul answered in a wavering voice. This wasn't supposed to go like this. Then the people who came with you will accompany you to Yunnan. Jo Pyong didn't wait for the answer. Then I will meet them and decide. They are people whom I have to trust so that I can entrust you to them. This is my best offer. What do you think? The light disappeared in Jogul's eyes. Wondering about what was going on in his father's head, Jogul, trying to control his trembling eyes, said, Huh? Have one person excluded, maybe? Jo Pyong looked at his son with a confused expression. That is why I have invited you all. Baekchun lightly moved. I am late to greet you. I am Baekchun, a second-class disciple of Mount Hua. We unexpectedly visited our Sajil's home, so please understand since we were unable to prepare anything on our way here. Think of it as your home and stay comfortably. If you are Gul Sasuk, then you are family to me. Thank you for the hospitality. Baekchun smiled brightly and said, However, there is something I need to address, even though it may be embarrassing to say. By something you mean to address, you mean... Baekchun looked at Jogul and then said, Mount Hua did not know about the promise Sajil Jogul made with the Lord. If we had known, the sect leader would have sent Jogul back right away. Of course, this kid wouldn't have said anything. Thank you for understanding. Seeing Baekchun stand his ground, Jo Pyong was happy. He seems like he is from the heavens. The appearance of Baekchun in his white robe and the words from his mouth would make anyone admire him. How could one not admire the person who gave out such courtesy and dignity? The same went for those who were on either side of Baekchun. The person on the right didn't stand out, but it was obvious that he was a man with deep thoughts from his calm demeanor. And the woman on his left with the off-white colored robe, the softness and modest look on her face and her versatile gestures were all amazing. Mount Hua is overflowing with great disciples. He could understand why Jogul wanted to stay with Mount Hua. But among them, next to her, the youngest disciple of Mount Hua is a bit, he's strange. Ever since he came in, he was unable to take his eyes off the disciple with a bottle in front of him. The disciple was also looking at the bottle with eyes as if he was getting drunk just by looking at it. But that person... Baekchun waved his hand. Don't worry about it. No, it's okay. That is how he normally is. He was drinking before, but since he was stopped in the middle, he's feeling a bit, upset. Huh? Alcohol. A Taoist. Chongmyung looked at the bottle and licked his lips. That's why I said I wouldn't come. Be quiet. Baekchun stopped him from talking, and Yu Yisol stabbed him in the side with her finger. As if he felt bad, Chongmyung went silent. Seeing this, Jo Pyong knew whom Jogul was trying to get rid of. Right, not everyone can be perfect. But why was this child sent with this group? This was something he couldn't know. Did you say that you needed to go to Yunnan for business? Yes, Jo Pyong sighed. It is difficult for me to see my son, who finally returned after 5 years, and now he insists on going to Yunnan. Baekchun looked at Jogul, and Jogul bowed his head. Look at this. When Jo Pyong was scolding him, he looked at his father right in the eye, but in front of Baekchun, he bowed down. This showed how much Jogul respected Baekchun. What can we do to help? Actually, rather than helping, I wanted to make sure that I was sending my child with people I could trust to the dangerous Yunnan. I understand. Baekchun then said, You don't have to send him. Baekchun said it firmly again. No parent will want to send their child to such a place. I will not take Jogul to Yunnan, so the Lord can simply help us to get to Yunnan. I'm coming, Sasuk. Jogul jumped up from his seat. I will not let you go without me. Even if you break my legs, I will go there crawling with what I have left. Don't even think of not taking me with you. Sit down. Sasuk! I said, sit down. Jogul bit his lip as he sat down. In the meantime, Chongmyung retrieved his hand that was reaching out for the bottle. If only they had fought a little more. Then he could take another sip. Sasuk, I told the sect leader that I would go to Yunnan and come back after succeeding. No matter how young I am, nothing is going to stop me. Do you really think that? If sect leader knew about your promise, would he have told you to go to Yunnan? That is, Baekchun continued. The sect is important, but so is family. Is it really your path to be doing something your parents don't want you to? Sasuk, you stay here and die. At that time, Chongmyung, who only paid attention to the bottle, spoke. Just do what you want to. Baekchun looked at Chongmyung with an expression which said he was done. Stay still. No, this isn't right, Sasuk. What isn't right? Does it make sense to leave Sahyong and go to Yunnan comfortably? I'd rather have a hard time together. Baekchun's face hardened at it. This is Jogul's family matter. And what we are doing is our sect's matter. Chongmyung's voice wasn't serious, but it wasn't playful either. Because of that, Baekchun looked at him with a serious face. It isn't up to Sasuk to decide if the family or the sect is important for another person. The one who has the right to decide is Jogul Sahyong. But even if Sasuk is higher than Sahyong in seniority, you cannot force him to do that. It is a matter of heart and mind. Right, heart. They were strangely poignant words. And when Baekchun went silent, Chongmyung turned to Jogul. Sahyong, what do you plan on doing? Are you saying I can decide? Isn't that natural? But to go to Yunnan, we need my family's help. Seriously? Chongmyung cut off Jogul's words, and without hesitation, he grabbed the bottle this time and gulped it down. And once he was done, Kyah! Chongmyung wiped his mouth and spoke with a smile. You are worried about everything. Who am I? Even if we don't go through with this, we can go break the heads of the Naman Beast Palace bastards. Don't worry about any of that and do what you want to. Chongmyung was twisting his hands as if he was trying to portray that he would crush them. Seeing that, Jogul couldn't stop smiling. It's strange to see him do things like this to make me feel at ease. Jogul had a brighter expression and said, It was then. Knock, knock. A high-pitched voice came from behind the door along with a few knocks. Master, what is it? A guest has come. This late at night, Zhou Pyong's face went cold.